Hey everyone, Thordan Smash here, and today we're going to be talking about a pretty serious issue that I recently had to deal with. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel, you might have no idea about this, so you're going to be in for a little bit of a crash course, and for those of you that do know, well, the saga has concluded with an arrest and some issues that I was dealing with in my personal life, and I can actually finally talk about that a little bit. Now, for those that are wondering what this is all about, back in around January of this year, Dexerto wrote an article about me talking about some charges that I was dealing with in my personal life related to domestic violence. Now, unfortunately, I did not want that information being public until, there was a guilty or innocent verdict. However, they went ahead and ran the story anyways, and it quickly kind of caught fire, and everyone just assumed that I was guilty. Now, after the article released, I went ahead and did a video where I talked about a few things. Some key takeaways that were actually published is that I did address the rumor and misinformation because, yes, there was a lot of misinformation. I also acknowledged the impact on the families and emphasized the need to respect the privacy while this ongoing legal issue was resolved. My legal team 100% advised me not to speak on any of the details in a public forum during the ongoing litigation. And despite everything, I continue to make Apex Legends content because in my heart, I knew that I was innocent. Now, even though I decided not to give any personal details, that did not stop a stream by another popular content creator where the other person involved in this went ahead and gave some personal details. And I also had shared with that content creator some personal details privately that was not made public, try to let him understand that I was not going to be able to give a public statement on this until things were further solved. So basically, for the last 5 months, I had some things said about me that I was not able to defend myself publicly whatsoever or make any kind of statements that would try to defend myself. And I just had to take every single shot from the community, content creators, and others just silently, just kind of taking it. And that, happens. That is life. And I will say that I continue to persevere. I didn't let anything ever break me. I continue to make content. I will continue to make content. And now I'm going to go ahead and share my side of the story because the case is officially over. It is dismissed, and I will not have any charges against me in the near future, and I can never be charged again. I was let known by my lawyer that the charges fall under double jeopardy and that I cannot be tried for this again, and it will make a lot of sense when I go over the minute details that are in the report of this case. One other thing I did want to clear up, however, is that when this all broke, there was some rumors that this was the reason I am no longer with Oxygen Esports as the team manager for their Apex team. I want to be very clear, that is not the case, as the situation of me leaving Oxygen happened in late October. The situation that occurred that you are about to hear about happened on November 4th. There were issues a month and a half later, but all of this happened very much after I had publicly left Oxygen and has no relation to it whatsoever. That being said, let's go ahead and get into some of the information. I also need to let you guys know that when you see the black marks on screen, that is for redacted. I actually want to leave the other person's name and identifying information out of this. I do not want any ill will towards them. I do not want any message sent to them, and I do not want the general public on a wide scale to know who this person is, because no one deserves the kind of vitriol that everyone decided to throw at me for the last 5 months directed at them. So without further ado, let's go into part 1 of what you guys need to know. First part is background in the report. There was a Halloween party that I was in attendance on November 4th, which was a week after Halloween. I didn't know exactly where the party was as I was not familiar with the people there, and the other person involved that I was with was friends with those at the party. Now, at the party, I was having beer, and the other person involved in this was taking shots. At some point in the night, there was a conversation where we were arguing about whether or not conversate was a word when redacted threw water all over Jordan. Yes, this whole situation derived from something as stupid as whether or not conversate could be used in a word. At that point, I asked to leave and was not happy with the other person involved. On the way home, redacted told me she was fine with leaving, but got upset on the way home. On the way home, they were also driving erratically. Once I got home, I left to actually go get pizza because I was starving, and then came back and went upstairs to redacted was where the main bedroom is. I then asked them what I did to deserve having water thrown on me, but redacted did not answer. That is correct. For those of you that don't know, throwing water at someone or on someone is actually assault. So the first incident of assault was actually committed against me, not by me against them. Moving on to part 2. I then went to the basement where we have a guest room and where I go whenever me and Redacted get into a fight. Something very important to know about this is that then Redacted followed me down into the basement and I was on the lower stairs and they were on the higher ones. This incident takes place in the basement where I went after I was upstairs. It's very odd that if you were going to accuse me of domestic violence, that you would then say that you came down to the basement. Why would you do that? Why, if I'm such a scary, scary person who you think is drunk and upset, would you follow down and instigate a fight in the basement with? Anyways, Redacted started yelling and screaming at me, and then I asked if we could call the police or my sister. That is correct. I wanted to call the police, which was something I had actually said on Dranilla's stream. However, Dranilla and the other person involved for some reason believed I was talking about an incident in December calling on the phone, and they were laughing about it, which I then laughed in private about because they clearly didn't understand the context that when this incident actually occurred in the basement, that is when I was trying to call the police. Regardless, I then got attacked, and Redacted threw their phone at me, and the phone broke on the floor. I have marks on my arm from where I was attacked. Redacted was screaming erratically, and I had to use my left forearm to get Redacted off of me. Jordan was using his left forearm to keep Redacted away from him and to hold off Redacted. Miscellaneous. Jordan stated he was not intoxicated during the fight with Redacted. Jordan stated he recalled all the events of that night, including what Redacted and Jordan were arguing about. Jordan stated he was able to drive comfortably and told Officer Redacted yes when Jordan was asked if he knew what he was doing. Jordan stated that he and Redacted had never had a physical altercation during the time they were together, except for a single instance where Redacted threw hot coffee on Jordan. Jordan and Redacted were both sober at the time. Something very important to know about is that yes, there have been things thrown at me in the past, such as the water at the beginning incident of this night, hot coffee in the past, and of course a phone that was hurled at me. Also, the fact that there once had never been a physical altercation on my behalf was actually confirmed in a tweet by Redacted that you can see here. I found it odd that no one thought that after 8 years of being with this person that I would all of a sudden just flip a switch and become physically abusive out of nowhere, despite the person saying that yes, I had never ever done that before. But regardless, let's keep going. Now we get to the medical report. Redacted says she was choked so hard that she could feel her eyes bulging her head, which is another statement that they had said on Dranilla's stream. However, what they failed to also mention is there was no evidence of any damage to the Redacted's neck in the FNE. There is no evidence of any damage to Redacted's neck in the CTA contrast exam. Medical staff and the reporting officer note that Redacted does not appear to have any injuries to her neck. Redacted states that her head was knocked against the wall by Jordan when he pushed her to the wall with his forearm. The medical report does not corroborate this claim and finds no injuries to the back of the head. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm 6 foot and about 171 pounds and I work out daily. Now it's up for you guys to decide, but the report is pretty conclusive in what it found there. You would think that someone my size and someone else that is below 5'6" and less than 135 pounds would have some kind of marking or physical evidence that they had been thrown against the wall so hard that they could not breathe and that there was dizziness in their eyes. But whatever, let's continue. Overall, based on the medical report, there is limited to no support for the allegations of strangulation in this case. The medical report is far more consistent with Jordan's version of events than Redacted. Now, once again, this is reports that were all submitted to the district attorney, the judge, my lawyers, obviously. And none of this information I was able to make public because once again, it was ongoing litigation. So everyone decided to once again dogpile me and accuse me of being a wife beater without actually ever being able to see the full report or any evidence, which was once again why I think a lot of people need to slow down before they start accusing people of being guilty. It's also important to note that Colorado is a no-drop state, meaning that even if the victim wanted to drop the charges, which from my understanding they did not, Colorado would not do it unless there was ample evidence and proof that I did not commit these crimes or that they could not do it without a burden of a doubt, which as you guys have seen from the reports, there is quite a bit now that you have the full scope of what actually happened. And this brings me into my final part because this is a horrible, horrible story. My life has been absolutely turned upside down, and I'm not talking about social media and content creation because at the end of the day, I could not give a crap about that. Does it really suck getting called names? Yeah, but worst of all, I lost someone who was incredibly close to me, and that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And when I asked for privacy about this situation, it wasn't because of some situations where like Water got caught DDoSing in a rank game, which got then very public. People were like, well, you didn't give Water got him privacy. There is a very clear difference between getting caught in a video game and then actually having real life repercussions in a personal situation. And it is wildly irresponsible for all the content creators that decided to make videos with only one side of the story. I can actually verify that almost no content creator reached out and asked me my side of the situation before making a video on it. And the one that did went ahead and actually just used slander right off the rip and made it a factual statement in their description that I was a wife beater. Overall, this is a horrible, horrible situation. And it's really, really sad that it had to unfold on the internet. I wanted to do this privately, and I don't, once again, want anyone to do anything with any of the other parties involved. I want privacy from the situation. It is officially over, and I'm not going to be doing anything more on it going forward in the future. Well, that's not 100% true. I do have a civil legal team, and I am going to be taking some actions in that regard, but I'm not going to get too much into that one way or the other, at least not in the public scale because, well, you guys will find out soon enough. Regardless though, this is the case of Thordan Smash in the last 5 months that I've had to deal with. I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll go back to Apex Legends news tomorrow just like we always do.